If you're only resting 30 seconds between sets, stop immediately. You're not building muscle, you're likely destroying it instead. This isn't mere speculation. The world's most prestigious sports science institutes have conducted 10-year longitudinal studies revealing that incorrect rest intervals can sabotage muscle growth by up to 70%. What's even more alarming is that most people repeat inefficient workouts without knowing this scientific truth. According to the latest research from MIT's exercise physiology team, the muscle mass difference between groups following correct rest intervals versus those who didn't reach a staggering 3-fold gap after 6 months. There's a high probability that all your previous workouts have only delivered half their potential effectiveness. After watching this video today, your training routine will undergo a complete revolution. The amazing mechanism of muscle energy recharging. Muscles require ATP as their energy currency to generate force. During high-intensity exercise, this ATP depletes in just 10 to 15 seconds. From this point, muscles utilize the creatine phosphate system to resynthesize ATP. And this process requires precise timing. German researchers at Cologne Sports University discovered the shocking fact that the creatine phosphate system requires exactly 2 minutes to reach 80% recovery. Complete 95% recovery takes 3 to 5 minutes. Failing to respect this timing dramatically reduces the maximum force available for subsequent sets. More importantly, cumulative fatigue from insufficient rest changes muscle fiber damage patterns. Exercise performed in an incompletely recovered state can cause destructive, rather than constructive damage necessary for muscle growth. The scientific foundation for optimal rest intervals for muscle growth. Optimal rest intervals for muscle growth differ completely based on training objectives. This represents scientific fact based on physiological mechanisms, not simple empirical experience. For maximum strength improvement, 3 to 5 minutes of complete rest proves essential. Research from the University of São Paulo found that 5-minute rest groups achieved 47% greater total training volume and 23% superior 1-RM improvements compared to 1-minute rest groups. For muscle hypertrophy, 2 to 3 minutes represents the golden ratio. This timeframe creates perfect balance between sufficient energy recovery for adequate loading, while maintaining metabolic stress. Too short prevents sufficient weight usage, while too long reduces metabolic stress benefits. For muscular endurance improvement, 30 to 90 seconds of shorter rest proves effective. However, this targets completely different adaptation mechanisms than hypertrophy or strength gains. For weight loss objectives, 1 to 2 minutes of rest maintains elevated heart rates to maximize caloric expenditure. The hidden relationship between hormonal secretion and rest intervals. Rest interval impact on hormonal secretion proves far more powerful than we imagine. Growth hormone and testosterone secretion patterns change dramatically based on rest timing. Short rest intervals of 30 to 90 seconds maximize growth hormone release. Norwegian University of Science and Technology research found that 1-minute rest groups showed 9 times higher growth hormone secretion compared to 5-minute rest groups. However, there's a trap here. Increased growth hormone secretion doesn't necessarily translate to increased muscle growth. Excessive stress from short rest can simultaneously increase cortisol secretion, promoting muscle breakdown. Testosterone secretion optimizes during moderate rest periods of 2 to 3 minutes. Both excessively short and long rest intervals reduce testosterone secretion. Rest interval differences between compound and isolation exercises. Compound and isolation exercises require completely different rest interval strategies due to differences in recruited muscle mass and nervous system fatigue. Compound exercises like squats, deadlifts, and bench presses simultaneously recruit multiple joints and muscle groups, creating significant central nervous system fatigue. Therefore, 3 to 5 minutes of extended rest becomes essential. Insufficient rest increases injury risk due to incomplete recovery of stabilizing muscles. Conversely, Isolation exercises like bicep curls or leg extensions intensively use single joints and specific muscles, making 1.5 to 2.5 minutes of relatively shorter rest sufficient. However, isolation exercises don't automatically require short rest. When performing isolation exercises with heavy weights, extended rest similar to compound exercises may be necessary. Age and gender-based rest interval adjustment strategies. Age and gender represent crucial factors determining optimal rest intervals due to differences in hormone levels, cardiovascular function, and muscle recovery capabilities. Men in their 20s can achieve effects with relatively shorter rest due to rapid recovery abilities. For strength training, 2.5 to 3.5 minutes proves adequate, while hypertrophy training requires 1.5 to 2.5 minutes. Men over 40 require 20 to 30% extended rest intervals due to decreased testosterone and reduced cardiovascular function. Even identical exercise intensities demand longer recovery. Compared to younger years, women generally possess superior cardiovascular function and lactate clearance abilities, often making shorter rest periods sufficient. However, lower absolute strength may create greater nervous system fatigue, even at identical relative intensities, requiring careful individual observation. The decisive impact of exercise order on rest requirements. Identical exercises require different rest intervals, depending on their position in the workout sequence due to cumulative fatigue and changing neural recruitment patterns. Primary exercises performed early in workouts can apply standard rest intervals since the nervous system remains activated. However, progressive fatigue throughout the workout necessitates gradually extending rest periods. Supersets or giant sets training identical muscle groups consecutively require 1.5 to 2 times normal rest intervals after the final exercise. When placing assistance or isolation exercises after primary movements, already fatigued, prime movers necessitate longer rest to maintain target intensities. Blood circulation and metabolic byproduct clearance timing. The clearance rate of metabolic byproducts generated during exercise determines subsequent set performance. Insufficient removal of fatigue substances like ammonia, inorganic phosphate, and hydrogen ions dramatically reduces muscle contractile force. Metabolic byproduct removal through blood circulation directly relates to rest interval duration. Active rest maintaining light movement proves more effective than completely static rest. Light stretching or minor movements of opposing muscles between sets improves blood flow and accelerates recovery. For example, gentle shoulder rolling or back stretching between bench press sets can reduce recovery time by 15 to 20%. However, overly vigorous movement can waste energy and prove counterproductive, so activities should maintain heart rates below 70% of resting levels. The science of muscle temperature and neural readiness. Muscle temperature directly correlates with contractile force. Elevated muscle temperature during exercise increases enzyme activity and accelerates muscle contraction speed. However, excessively long rest can reduce muscle temperature and impair performance. To maintain optimal muscle temperature, rest should not exceed 5 minutes. Particularly in cold environments, light warming during rest may be necessary. Neural readiness also represents a crucial factor. High-intensity exercise places significant demands on the nervous system, and insufficient recovery prevents maximum muscle recruitment in subsequent sets. Neural recovery becomes especially important in technical exercises, like powerlifting or Olympic lifting. Finding your individual optimal rest intervals. Discovering personal optimal rest intervals requires systematic experimentation and observation since everyone's physiological characteristics and training levels differ. First, accurately assess your current fitness level. Measuring resting heart rate, maximum heart rate, and lactate threshold establishes baseline references for personalized rest intervals. Next, experiment with various rest intervals during actual training. Try identical exercises with 1, 2, 3, and 5-minute rest periods, while observing performance changes across sets. Subjective fatigue levels also provide important indicators. You should feel confident about performing subsequent sets at identical intensities after sufficient rest. Environmental and seasonal influences on rest intervals. Exercise environment and seasonal factors also affect optimal rest intervals. Due to changes in thermoregulation and fluid loss rates. During summer heat, thermoregulation consumes additional energy, warranting 10 to 20% extended rest intervals. Increased fluid loss also necessitates appropriate hydration between sets to prevent dehydration-induced performance decline. Winter conditions cause muscle temperature to drop easily, requiring reduced rest intervals or attention to warming. Outdoor winter exercise particularly demands maintaining body warmth during rest periods. Humidity also requires consideration. High humidity impairs sweating and complicates thermoregulation, necessitating extended rest intervals and increased fluid intake. If today's video has revolutionized your understanding of rest intervals, smash that subscribe button, hit the like button, and ring the notification bell so you never miss our science-backed training content that can transform your physique forever.